fasting has been a spiritual religious practice for millennia, you know, from the Essenes, which is an ancient Jewish sect. They would fast for 40 days out of the year. Jesus, 40 days and 40 nights before his ministry. The purification that happens, it's almost like similar to a silent retreat where you're not talking for 10 days. And it's the yogic principle called pratyahara. It's one of the 8 limbs, which means withdrawal of the senses. So in the absence of something, in the withdrawal from something, you gain a new relationship to it, a more pure, clean relationship. And when we go without food, it's like if there was like an AC unit or like the fridge was like making noise over here, it's kind of in the background, but we're not aware that it's making this noise that's like causing dysregulation in our nervous system. So but the moment it stops, we're like, whoa, I didn't realize how noisy I was internally. And I feel like fasting does that. It like makes that realization really prevalent. You feel so much more clear energetically. It's like you're sharp intellectually, like that ketone source, right? Comes online. I feel like you're just like, you're here, you're present.
Your senses, you can smell everything. Like turning up the dial of being a human and alive in your liveliness. And so you've explored this, you know, on some podcasts, but I would just love to hear your own personal experience with fasting as it's helped you purify your mind, your body, your spirit, and what else becomes available outside of the physiological benefits, which are amazing. But there's this psycho-emotional, spiritual component that really helps cultivate and. So my personal experience with the longer fasts, what you're talking about, I really do believe happen more in the 3-day, 5-day water fasts, because you need you got to get past the voice that's going, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? You're going to die. Like all the, like you will really truly see your relationship to food. So if you feel like you have a dysfunctional relationship to food, you use food, you have an abusive relationship, you use it to calm your soul. When you start to fast, you understand why. You will see moments in your day where you're like, oh, I can't eat. Okay, and the brain is telling you, like, are you safe? I don't know if you're safe right now. You listen to that podcast and then you just bought that woman's book and the next thing you know, you started fasting. Do you really know what you're doing? Like those kind of comments come up. Or like, don't you remember you tried this before and you failed? Don't you remember a friend fasted? Like the limiting beliefs are like, here you go. Here's what you need to know about what's holding you back from being a healthy human when it comes to food, nutrition, and your relationship to it. And food is a relationship. And you get to decide, is it a healthy one or is it an abusive one? So that's usually day 1. Day 1 is you see all that going on. Day 2, then all of a sudden, who you are as an individual reveals itself. So all of a sudden, you're like, am I strong enough to do this? I said I was going to go 3 days. I got a whole nother 24 hours. I don't know. I've failed at this and I've failed at that. And I don't know. Like, do I really want, maybe my health is okay. Why am I really, like the amount of mind chatter that reveals itself for you on day 2 about who you are and what you think of yourself will blow you away. And then something happens at the night of day 2 where all of a sudden you're turning the corner and you're like, I just have to get through tomorrow. And what most people find is they wake up on day 3 and they're like, it's so quiet in here. I don't I can make it to the end of the day. And then there's no chatter. Like the chatter just stops. And all of a sudden there's just space. And most people on day 3, that's where downloads come and things can come in, because the first 2 days were about revealing what's holding you back. And by the time you get to the 3rd day, there's so much space that there can be an influx of universal energy, insight, it's like the mind just calms. And on a physiological level, why that works is that as you go down the fasting lane into these multiple days, you start making ketones. And ketones will stimulate a neurotransmitter called GABA. So if you're 3 days in and your ketone level is like at 3.0, you have so much GABA in you that you're just calm. And the activity in your brain slows down. And there just is this portal opening where all of a sudden you can hear things. And I've done it with 5-day fasts where I've done it around setting goals for myself. But the most profound one that I had experience that I had for myself was I have a 24-year-old daughter. And when she was in college, I was really concerned about her. Got in with the wrong crowd. It was around the pandemic. Like there was just a lot of like things that I was like, I think I need to go and like actually pick her up from her apartment and her area and bring her home. Like she's not hanging around the right people, and I couldn't get to her. I couldn't find that emotional connection I had with her. And I was really concerned. So I was like, okay, I'm going to throw a fast at it. And I, of course, went into the first 2 days. The mind chatter all came up. 3rd day, things started calming. On the 4th day, I was meditating, and I heard this thought in my head, she's going to be okay. She's going to be okay. Just let her be. She's working herself through something. Don't step in. Don't manipulate it. Let her come to her own conclusions. And then I closed down the fast on the 5th day. And on the 6th day, she called and asked if she could come home. And I was like, whoa, how did that happen? And it was really one of the most spiritual, like cosmic, and that's what I wanted her to come home, and so we could kind of reset her and get her back on track. But I also wanted to come in and manipulate the situation. So using a tool like fasting to just find that answer was a godsend. And then when she called, I was like, thank you, universe. I appreciate that for giving me the certainty through that fast. But you can't hear it when you're eating. What you can hear when you don't eat is just incredible. It's incredible.
I agree full-heartedly. Anytime I have a kind of big life decision or I feel like I'm entering a new chapter, I always just take time away. I fast. I go inwards, and it's like you're settling all that noise on the radio, and your antenna gets stronger for like what you're here for and what's available and possible for you to receive.
Yeah.
I've said it like many times. I feel like sometimes we're always in this top-down brain process of saying what I want from life, and then fasting, getting clearing that signal.
Yep.
You get to see what life maybe wants of you. And in so many instances, like we're kind of imposing ourselves on the life circumstance, right? With our agenda. And in that receptive state, you release the energy, and it's funny how quick it shifts, right?
Yeah, and it's like the downloads can be profound, because the other thing that happens is you don't need as much sleep. So the downloads can come in the middle of the night. Like in the middle of a 5-day fast, I've woken up at 2 a.m. I'm like, oh, that's the answer to that problem. And so it's taking, like you said, the static out. And I think what's surprising to even people who are healthy and they eat really like healthy foods is that the minute you put food into your body, there's a whole energy system that has to go to work, and the stomach has to work, and the liver has to detoxify. And all that energy that goes towards digesting food is a distraction for the brain. But when you take it away, it's like clearing the static. You said it really well.